Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove sent a memo to the acting FBI director Friday evening directing him to terminate 8 FBI employees and identify all current and former Bureau personnel assigned to January 6th and Hamas cases for an internal review. Now, Senator Blumenthal, your colleague, says, I'm appalled by this vile retaliation against agents who sought to hold accountable people who stabbed cops with flagpoles and crushed officers until they broke bones. The silence from my Republican colleagues is disgusting and deafening. Your response?
Well, number one, as to changing personnel at the FBI, I think that's a good place to start. How do you expect the FBI to change if you keep everybody in place? That's been part of the problem. I've been open about the January 6 pardons of people who committed violent acts against cops. I don't like it.
Lindsey Graham is always first in line to be humiliated. He loves doing the Sunday shows defending the indefensible actions of Donald Trump, but he usually does it on a rival network. He's usually on Meet the Press, or he appears on CNN, but today he didn't really have the equipment, the necessary responses for all the questions he would be asked about Donald Trump's disastrous agenda, so he went on Fox. But shockingly, he was asked the same hard-hitting questions about Donald Trump's failures by the MAGA Fox host. And when he inevitably crumbled because he does not have a defense for Donald Trump's indefensible agenda, especially this disastrous tariff plan that is affecting Lindsey Graham's own constituents in South Carolina. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, let's get into this disastrous Lindsey Graham interview. He just crashes and burns. Let's take a look.
Yes, they need some assistance, but it would be their actions.
Yeah. Okay, now I want to try to get some answers from you on some of these nominees. Let's start with RFK Jr. You've been one of the most pro-life folks in the Senate for a long time. Yeah. The National Review has this warning. Right. Pro-lifers should be especially wary of a man who publicly advocated legislation to codify Roe v. Wade in 2023 and affirmed in 2024 that he supported legal abortion, quote, even if it's full term. Given your dedication to that topic, is it something you're willing to compromise on?
Well, I am now okay supporting RFK Jr. because I think during the course of the hearing, he's committed to a Republican pro-life agenda, President Trump's pro-life agenda, Mexico City policy, dealing with chemical abortions. So I will take him at his word. I'm comfortable with what he said on the pro-life issue. He has been radically pro-choice as a person, but I do believe that as secretary, he will implement a pro-life agenda that will be pushed by President Trump. So I will be a yes.
Okay.
But I'll also watch every move he makes.
Okay, I'm assuming you're a yes on RFK Jr., assuming you're a yes on Kash Patel. What about Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be yes on her. I was waiting to see what she said about 702. That's the ability to track foreigners overseas who may be involved in plots against the country. I actually served in a reserve unit with Tulsi. I've always liked her. I think a lot of her criticism against her has been really mean and off base, but I'll be a yes now. She's shown her understanding of how vital 702 is. So I'll be a yes on RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel knocked it out of the park. He's the antidote to Crossfire Hurricane. He's going to go in and clean the FBI out to make sure it's never abused like it was in the past. And Crossfire Hurricane was one of the saddest, most dangerous chapters in FBI history. He's the guy that helped expose it, and he'll be the solution, not the problem, when it comes to the FBI, in my view.
You know that much of what he faced in questioning was about retribution, about what he's going to do within the FBI. He's not there yet, right. But my colleagues at FoxNews.com report this. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove sent a memo to the acting FBI director Friday evening directing him to terminate 8 FBI employees and identify all current and former Bureau personnel assigned to January 6th and Hamas cases for an internal review. Now, Senator Blumenthal, your colleague, says, I'm appalled by this vile retaliation against agents who sought to hold accountable people who stabbed cops with flagpoles and crushed officers until they broke bones. The silence from my Republican colleagues is disgusting and deafening. Your response?
Well, number one, as to changing personnel at the FBI, I think that's a good place to start. How do you expect the FBI to change if you keep everybody in place? That's been part of the problem. I've been open about the January 6th pardons of people who committed violent acts against cops. I don't like it. But we're talking about the FBI. We're talking about people who looked the other way, were part of the problem, allowed the FBI to get warrants against an American citizen called Carter Page based on Russian disinformation called the Steele dossier. They lied to the court. So I'm looking forward to some of these people finding a new job. Now, if you're an agent working on a January 6th case or some other case and you're assigned to do it, and you shouldn't be punished just for doing your job. But this idea of keeping everybody in place in the government after Trump won the election is insane. I think he should have the ability to put people in management positions that share his vision of how to move forward on the American First agenda. There's nothing unusual about that to me.
Okay, I want to ask you quickly about the tariffs. Mexico, Canada already saying they will issue full retaliatory tariffs in exchange. China's going to the World Trade Organization. Your colleague Senator Coons put out this statement when they became official yesterday. He says, President Trump said he was going to drive down prices to make America more affordable. Then on day 13 of his presidency, quote, he imposed tariffs that will send prices skyrocketing. Is it a good move?
Well, I think it's 3,000 Americans die every 2 weeks from fentanyl poisoning coming across the Mexican border. They make the drugs, fentanyl, produce them in Mexico. Their precursors come from China.
So there are a couple things there that I want to specifically point out that really crack me up about this Lindsey Graham interview. Obviously, Republicans are going to be trying to obey on tariffs. They're going to try to shift the blame, move it away. Hey, Donald Trump, he's going to figure it out. It was funny Carolyn Elbit at her press conference said, when asked the hypothetical, the very real and not hypothetical question about what the Trump administration will do when tariffs inevitably raise prices. She said, well, we don't expect that to happen, B, because so what we're going to do, they can't answer. That was her answer was, it's not going to happen. That's a hypothetical. I can't answer it because President Trump is going to make sure that doesn't happen. But how they still haven't explained how the tariffs won't increase prices, especially when retaliatory tariffs and retaliatory actions from countries like Canada, Mexico, we might see this from the EU as well, are focused specifically on red states. Republicans have no answers for their constituents who will be paying more. And the Lindsey Graham, RFK Jr. Lindsey Graham has been advocating for a 6-week, a 3-week, a 2.5-minute abortion ban. That's what he wants. And now RFK Jr., he's like, it's fine. I don't care. I don't care. That's the Republican Party, a complete abandonment of principles, good or bad. And they're usually bad principles. I don't even know if we can call them principles at this point, but to do whatever. Donald Trump wants to support RFK Jr. to support Tulsi Gabbard, who is incredibly scary. I don't know why Lindsey is backing Cash Patel either. Lindy, sometimes you're on Donald Trump's enemies list, so Cash Patel might be investigating you, but the tariffs of it all, that is the worst part. And that was perfectly called out by Governor J.B. Pritzker right here.
Pardoning January 6th rioters who injured and provided injuries that ultimately killed police officers. That's an attack on police. When you take away funding like they did this week from police departments across the state of Illinois and across the country, we have task forces that are working on fighting drugs and violent crime and taking out the drug cartels and gangs. Right? When you take away funding from those things, you're hurting law enforcement and, frankly, ultimately leading to more crime, not less. So I think Donald Trump, it's a reckless set of policies that he's engaging in. And he, ultimately he promised that he was going to lower costs for Americans. He promised that he was going to make us safer. And he's done none of that. And I realize he's only been in office 2 weeks, but it's gotten worse, not better. You think your prices at the grocery store have gone down in the last 10 days? No, they've gone up because of what he is threatening or what he's already put in place.
Governor Pritzker might be of lucky. He doesn't maybe have to worry about tariffs as much as the governors of red states do. I don't think Justin Trudeau is really going to be focused on hitting Illinois. They're pretty good friends to Canada. It is sad. It is actually sad that people who live in a Kentucky, a Florida, a Texas, who voted for VP Harris, or maybe didn't even vote at all, are going to be impacted by Donald Trump's tariffs directly levied at these red states to teach them a lesson. It's just sad for everybody. I do not want people's lives to be impeded by Donald Trump's disastrous agenda. I don't want people to have to pay the $1,500 to $2,000. More an additional cost that some economists are predicting out per household will be the cost of Donald Trump's tariff plan. I don't want that to happen, but I guess if this is what it takes to learn that China is not paying the tariff, and then once again, a Democrat leaves a Republican a booming economy and they immediately screw it up. I don't know how many more examples of this we have to have before people start to recognize a pattern. I thought that's like what humans were kind of programmed to do is like part of our biology is to recognize patterns. And somehow we can't go, oh, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump already in 12 days. It's just like maybe we should, I don't know, maybe we should focus a little bit more. Pay attention. Democrats are saying it. Listen to Tim Kaine saying.
Virginians overwhelmingly rejected the Trump candidacy for the third time in a row. And I think one of the reasons they did is they saw the effect of tariffs during the Trump first term. When President Trump put tariffs on Canada and the EU and Mexico, what happened? It was a tax on Virginia consumers. Prices went up. And then when those nations retaliated, they retaliated against critical Virginia industry sectors, especially agriculture and forestry. I remember going out during the Trump first term to talk to my farmers and foresters, who by and large were Trump supporters, and they were saying, for God's sake, Senator, help us. This is hurting our businesses. So look, here's what Americans are going to see. Higher prices for energy, higher prices for groceries. That's what they're going to see. Businesses are going to get hurt when the retaliatory tariffs tick in. And I'm struck by the irony of last week, the president signed an emergency order regarding energy. There's an energy emergency. And he just put a 10% tariff on energy from Canada. He is increasing prices at the pump, and you'll start to see it within the next couple of days. At the same time, he's saying there's an energy emergency. The emergency is self-created.
I don't know how we haven't figured this out. I don't know how it's going to be a rough 4 years, but we're going to call it out. I've been a little bit more emotional, a little bit less straightforward. I hope y'all enjoy me bringing a little bit more. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. What more? It is just more of just like my shock to this. Because again, I just continue to be shocked. I guess I shouldn't. But of course, we're going to be calling people out. That's not going to change. I may do it in a little bit more of a razzled, frazzled, like what is happening way, but we're still going to be doing it. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.